Thanks everyone for waiting. We're going to get started at 7:05. We're just giving a couple minutes for our attendees to log in, so stay tuned. Hi everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. I'd like to welcome you to the Kids and Candidates event, Alhambra Board of Education Forum. First off, I'd like to give a shout out to the local organizations co-sponsoring to this event. Myself, I'm Dominic Tovar from the Alhambra Source, but we also have Alhambra Latino Association as a co-sponsor, Alhambra Preservation Group as a co-sponsor, and Voice of Immigrant Students Alhambra as a co-sponsor. So shout out to all those groups for making these two candidate forums happen this week. First off, I'd like to bring everyone's attention to the translation feature on the bottom dashboard of your Zoom screen. There's going to be a little globe, and for this event, we're offering translation in Spanish, Cantonese, Mandarin, and Vietnamese. So if you would like to get in those channels, please do so now. I recommend also clicking mute original audio as well, and that'll give you a high quality stream. Alrighty, we're gonna start off this event with a really quick introductory poll. And the reason we're doing this poll is because we wanna know who you are, the attendees. So there are gonna be some questions asking you to identify yourself as a student, a parent, or a community member. And yeah, this poll is absolutely optional. So at the end of it, we're gonna present the answers, and I think it'll all be very interesting. So please take 1 minute to answer this poll. And interpreters, at this time, please unmute yourselves. You will still be off video, but now is the time to start your translation bit. And really, shout out to the interpreters. This feature with Zoom is new and it's a really complicated one to deal with. So thank you for the interpreters for all the time that you've spent figuring this out. we're really excited that we can provide this for our diverse community. Okay, I'm gonna close the poll in 30 seconds. Alrighty, we are ending the polling section. I would like to share the results with you, and I think they are absolutely interesting. We have 74% of the respondents are students, and the rest are parents, staff, and community members. I think that's great. Thank you so much, students, for taking the time to join this event. Your peers who will be moderating this event really are important to this program. So shout out to them once we do introduce them. Okay, now let's continue with our program. We are gonna share introduction by our Alhambra Unified School District Superintendent Denise R. Jaramillo, and Virginia is gonna share her screen right now, and we will get started. Virginia, I don't think the audio is working for this video. Let's try one more time.
Hello, my name is Denise Jaramillo, Superintendent of the Alhambra Unified School District. I'm honored to be here this evening to welcome you to the 2020 Kids and Candidates Forum. Thank you to the event sponsors, the Alhambra Source, the Alhambra Latino Association, the Alhambra High School Visa Booster Club, and the Alhambra Preservation Group. Your commitment to our schools and our students is very much appreciated. As I thought about tonight's forum and what I would say as a welcome, I was reminded about two very important aspects that I believe are fundamental to our way of life. That is our right to vote and our right to a free public education. If you think about it, these institutions, which seem like completely separate institutions, are incredibly entwined and dependent on one another. In fact, in my opinion, they truly are the bedrock of our democracy. And tonight, you will see them in action together. To our Alhambra Unified School District students who are here this evening, today is really about you. And whether you are one of the organizers of tonight's event, a moderator, or a participant in the audience, I thank you and congratulate you for being here. And my hope is that what you experience this evening and the events that take place between now and voting day, that you learn from these events, and this becomes a springboard for you to be a lifelong informed voter and hopefully civically engaged. There's no doubt that 2020 has been a year of challenges, both at a national and a local level. Just 8 months ago, we could not have imagined what we are living today, but here we are. But it's inspiring that even in the midst of all this challenge, we've had 6 people stand up in our community and say that they care enough about our students and our schools that they would like to serve on the Alhambra Board of Education. Tonight, you'll have the opportunity to hear from some of them. I hope you listen and learn from each of them. In closing, please accept my sincere thanks for inviting me to be part of this very important event. I know that I speak for all of the candidates when I say, most importantly, please be sure to vote. Thank you.
All righty, thank you so much, Denise R. Jaramillo, our superintendent. She was not able to join us, but gave us this recorded video. So I think it's a pretty good introduction to our event tonight. Real quick, we're gonna go over the polling results again. And I'm just gonna briefly describe what the results are. Number one, which of the following best describes you? We have 74% of our audience are made up of students. Number two, which 3 issues do you care about the most? It looks like the winner for this one is the current quality of distance learning, student mental health, and student safety and ensuring equity and respecting diversity made it to a tie for 3rd place. Number 3, in general, how satisfied are you with how AUSD is managing the pandemic crisis? Looks like we got 38% satisfied, 55% in the middle, and 7% dissatisfied. Number 4, how has the pandemic affected your economic circumstances? 34% said little to no effect, 58% said moderate effect, and 8% said major negative effect. So we really wanted to share these results and this polling results with you before we get into the major portion of our program, because we want to know what, we want to have a good idea of what the attendees are thinking about right now. Okay, so now we're gonna go and introduce our student moderators for the night. So student moderators, please turn on your video. And first up, we have Maria Romano, our Alhambra High School moderator and president of the Alhambra ASB group. We also have Jay Wang from Mark Keppel High School. He's our moderator and also the ASB president at Mark Keppel High School. And here is Ellie Liang. We have her from San Gabriel High School. And I believe she is also the ASB president of her student body. We have one more student here with us. Okay, here he is, Mark Munson from Independence High School. So this evening we have 4 moderators from all the high schools in our school district. Thank you, moderators, for taking the time to facilitate this event tonight. We're really excited to hear some of the questions that you have that you are going to pose to our Board of Education candidates. So next up, we're gonna have a Pledge of Allegiance led by Jay Wang. So Jay Wang, go ahead and get started on that.
All right, good evening, everyone. So please face the flag, put your right hand over your heart and repeat after me. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So my name is Maria. I am a moderator from Alhambra High School, and I'll just be giving a little introduction to the format of this forum for today. So as you can see, we have 5 candidates going for 3 positions on the board, with each term being 4 years. This forum is going to be split up in 3 segments for the most part. So after this introduction and Mark presenting the candidates, we are going to have an opening statement section that the candidates will give. That one will be 2 minutes each. Then we're going to have 9 questions that were pre-submitted through the form when attendees registered. And lastly, we're going to have closing statements. Depending on how much time we have, it'll be either 1 minute or 2 minutes. Oh, and the questions will only have a 1 minute limit. And then, so there has been an order already placed randomly, so it is fair. Everyone has a chance. And so please stay to your time limit. Then also a quick little rule, no attacks between candidates will be tolerated, and there will be no rebuttals. There's no time for that. We just want your answers and from your own point of view. So I'll pass it on to Mark to introduce the candidates.
Thank you very much, Maria. I'm Mark Munson, of course, and I'd like to start off by introducing the candidates. First of all, Wing Kim Ho from District 1. Then we have Marcia Wilson, also of District 1. Jane C. Anderson, also from District 2, as well as Ken Tang from District 2. And then we have Kesa Moreno from District 3. So my duty as timekeeper will be to ensure that the candidates stay within their allotted time. When the candidates have 2 minutes, halfway through, I will put up a 1 minute time paddle. When the candidates have only 1 minute, which is in the case of their questions, halfway through, I'll put up a 30-second paddle. And towards the end, a 15-second paddle. Once the candidate has concluded with their time, I will put up a stop, at which point it would be asked that the candidates pay attention to the timekeeper so that Maria doesn't have to come in and interrupt.
Yeah, thank you. So just for the record, in case people were wondering, Kesa Moreno's opponent, the current school board president, Pat McIntosh, did not respond to our invitation to this event. So that is why she's here. Kesa Moreno is running against another person. She is just not present at this event. So let's just jump right into the opening statements. Remember, 2 minutes, keep it simple. And I would like to start off with Wing Kim Ho from District 1.
Okay, can you hear me? Okay, great. All right. Hello, my name is Wing Ho. I'm an active AUSD parent, project construction manager, and live in Alhambra for more than 19 years. Education, K-12 excellence, equity, and unity are the essential engines for the future of our children and our community. As a current school board member, I have become recognized, respected, and dependent upon on my result-driven, truth-telling, fact-based dedicated to all AUSD students, parents, employees, and you. In nearly 2,000 hours spent on the ground during my current 22-month board term, I have visited our high schools, elementary school, actively engaged with our students, teachers, staff, listened to them, and also engaged in the parent district board forum and workshop. I understand what my constituents need, worry about, and hope for. So together, we can work to creatively problem solve our current challenges, develop pioneer educational policy and programs of excellence to empower our children and to create harmony. Though I listen more than I speak, I also honestly and effectively communicate about how the district is supporting all stakeholders in our children's education. In the next 4 years, I will continue to provide social and emotional supports to all students, parents, teachers, and our staff impacted by distant learning. Evaluate the impact of distant learning and improve our student achievement, improve school safety for our staff and students once the school open. Develop a short-term and a long-term vision to promote favorable school climate, including inclusion of acceptance of everyone in school. Also, I'll use my professional expertise in design and construction to monitor ongoing district modernization projects, improve our school safety, contribute to our career tech educational program with my professional training, background, and experience, build a communication bridge between parent, school district, and act as a parent resource to our Chinese community. Also, lastly, advocate for public education and the school district in our community. Thank you.
That was great. Next up, we have his opponent, also from District 1, Miss Marcia Wilson. Marcia Wilson, I apologize.
Hi. Thank you. So I can't see the timekeeper. So like my box, do I need to do something to my view on my thing? Because I can't see the timekeeper. Do I do view gallery view maybe? Yes, there we go. Thank you. I just wanted to make sure I didn't go over my 2 minutes. All right, so thank you. As a daughter of parents who met at a SNCC meeting, civic engagement, advocacy, and volunteerism are part of the fiber of my being. I want to continue to give back to my community in this capacity. I've been involved in Alhambra Unified School District since 2000 when I moved here with my husband and my 2 sons. They both graduated from Alhambra Unified School District schools. And I served as PTA president. I was PTA president 4 different times, twice at Emory Park, twice at Alhambra High. I was also the Alhambra Council PTA president, which is the president of all of the PTAs across the district. I got a chance to visit every PTA and spend some time there. I spent 3 years in that capacity. I've also been on the District Advisory Council representative. I was the representative for 6 years for Alhambra High. I was on the Citizens Oversight Committee for Measure C and MM, overseeing the last bond construction that we did at our schools. And I'm also currently on the board of the Alhambra Educational Foundation. My professional life has also afforded me an opportunity to gain some valuable experiences related to my candidacy as a school board member. I've been a professor for 31 years at the USC Suzanne Dvorak Peck School of Social Work, teaching in both MSW and the DSW programs. I'm currently the Dean of Pathway Innovation and Institutional Effectiveness at LA Trade Tech College, where I oversee equity initiatives, workforce development, career pathways, and professional development. I also have a grant writing and program evaluation and consulting business focusing on nonprofits. And my experience in my community, as well as my professional experience, have earned me the endorsements of both the Alhambra Teachers Association and the California School Employee Association. I've also had the opportunity to meet with dozens and dozens of students throughout the time of my campaign, and I look forward to serving in the capacity of a board member on the Alhambra Unified School District. Thank you.
That was wonderful. All right, so moving on to the next district, District 2, we're going to start off with Miss Jane C. Anderson, please. Please unmute yourself. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm getting good on Zoom. Let's put it that way.
All right.
You can teach an old dog new tricks. Well, good evening. I'm happy to be here. I'm Jane C. Anderson. I am a native Alhambran. I was born and raised in Alhambra. I went to Garfield Elementary and Alhambra High School. And then I went to UC Santa Barbara. And during my time that I went and got my bachelor's and my teaching credential was the only time that I didn't live in Alhambra. So I have been associated with the Alhambra School District for my entire life. I taught at Monterey Highlands for 35 years. Then I mentored new teachers, and then I have been on the school board for 14. And I learned a great deal that first year I was on the school board because I'd always looked at school matters from a teacher viewpoint. And even someone said, oh, you're too much of a teacher. But then they learned to value my expertise as a teacher in developing curriculum and things like that. Oh my goodness, time goes by. So I am very dedicated to the students of this district. I know that we provide opportunities for every child to learn. I will continue to do that. I will continue to work within our financial constraint with the problems that we have with COVID. We didn't invent this problem, and we're going to work through it, and we're all going to be successful with it. And I look forward to 4 more years on the school board. Thank you.
Great. Next up, we have the other candidate for District 2, Mr. Ken Tang.
All right. First of all, I want to thank everybody for putting this on. My name is Ken Tang, and I am running for Alhambra School Board District 2. As a first-generation immigrant, I grew up in Alhambra and attended its public schools. I am a community organizer and a labor leader. But most importantly, I am a classroom teacher, And that's why I am so proud that I am endorsed by the Alhambra Teachers Association and the California Schools Employees Association Local 295, who are the heroes of public schools. I believe strongly in supporting my community and serving as an advocate for public education as a pathway to success in life. I've served as an active leader in the Garvey Education Association, the California Teachers Association, and the National Education Association, where I've lobbied local, state, and national legislator on behalf of the students and public education in strengthening laws and policies for public schools. I was and still am active in the school PTA as well as the council PTA. I was a liaison to the California State PTA. And since the pandemic, I have worked nonstop to organize. I have collected, donated, distributed, and delivered food baskets to our most needy students and their families. I've collaborated with the Garvey School District, the Alhambra Teachers Association, the Asian Youth Center, Worldwide Produce, LA Food Bank, and many individuals to fight food insecurity during this difficult time. I also serve on the Garvey Education Foundation Board. And in a time when our schools face great uncertainty and change, our children deserve a leader who understands issues and make their education a priority. Therefore, Ken Tang is the person you need on the Alhambra School Board. Thank you.
All righty. Lastly, we have Ms. Kesa Moreno from District 3.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here. My name is Kesa Moreno, and I'm a candidate for the Alhambra School Board in District 3. I'd like to tell you a little bit about myself. I'm a daughter of immigrants and a first-generation college graduate. I've been a college professor for over 15 years. 13 years of that I've been at El Camino College, where I am a professor of mathematics, and I'm also the chair of the Distance Learning Committee for our department. I've also served as the lead coordinator for student assessments for the entire college, which serves around 24,000 students. I'm also a mom of 3 little ones, ages 7, 4, and 3. My oldest attends Fremont Elementary School and is also part of the dual immersion program. I'm the current PTA president at Fremont Elementary and also an active member of the Los Amigos Booster Club, which is the dual immersion booster club. I am honored to have the endorsement of the 2 local unions in Alhambra, the Alhambra Teachers Association and the California School Employee Association, as well as other organizations and local leaders. Why I'm running? Well, as an educator and a parent, I know how crucial it is for parents to be involved in their children's education. So as my son began kindergarten, I wanted to get involved and find ways to contribute to help my son succeed. It started with being in the PTA and a dual immersion booster club. And as I was getting involved, I saw an opportunity to contribute not only to my son's success, but all students in the district. I believe with my expertise in education, I could add value to our community by sharing my knowledge of student achievement. The voice of our students and parents play a critical part in the student achievement, and I want to serve as this voice to listen and respond to the concerns and needs of our community. Thank you.
Great. So once that opening statement, so now that we're done with that opening statement segment, we are moving on to our questions. So for question 1, I will start off with Ms. Kesa Moreno, District 3, and your question is, how will you facilitate and improve the school board's communication with students and their families? How will you ensure transparency and accountability? And this was submitted by Michael Slew. So Ms. Kesa, you have 1 minute.
So one of the reasons I'm running is communication and improving the communication between the board and our community. This is having a great communication. I think it's the lifeline of school districts. And the first thing I want to kind of touch on is the fact that, going through this pandemic, I think we've learned that Zoom can be very beneficial in communication, right? I think we've all learned to communicate with each other virtually very well, and some of us are becoming Zoom experts. So the first thing is using that as we move forward and having Zoom as a way to connect with our community. when we go back to the classroom, I think it's important to also keep in mind that, it's important for board members to be present, to, attend schools and talk to the parents and talk to the teachers and talk to the students to hear all their concerns and needs. So I think having a plan in terms of not just being present in board meetings, but being present. Oh,
yeah, sorry. Thank you. So once again, how to facilitate and improve the school board's communication and about transparency and accountability. Next up, we have from District 2, Mr. Ken Tang. 1 minute. Your mic.
All right, sorry. All right, so communication is a two-way street. And one of the things that I would want to establish as a board member is to make sure that I'm going to create a channel where students and parents meet on a regular basis to communicate with school board members. I want to make sure that open communication is always clear. Having meetings at least 2 weeks prior to board meetings so that parents doesn't have to wait until the board meeting to speak up. I want to make sure that board agendas are clearly outlined 2 weeks prior to the school board meeting so that parents and students and all stakeholders, teachers and staff, will be able to ask questions before anything is being made and any decision would be made. And as far as transparency, that is the best way to go.
Thank you. So next up, we have also from District 2, Ms. Jane C. Anderson about communication, transparency, and accountability in our district. Yes.
Well, thank you. Since we have been in COVID, we have really learned to strengthen our communication with our parents. We have instituted parent meetings. We've had conversations with parents, and everything is posted on the website. And I believe maybe some Zoom zaps are set out. I don't know what they're called. We continue to do that. It's nice. It would be nice if a lot of people came to school board meetings. Unfortunately, they do not. So they hear things sort of, through the mill, and that's not good. They need to be at a school board meeting to know what is going on. We're working for transparency. We do send out all of our notices in 4 languages, either in paper or on the internet. And I think that we have made a good inroad into transparency since we have had COVID, and we've had, good communication, I feel.
Thank you. All right, next up from District 1, we have Ms. Marcia Wilson.
Great. Well, transparency and inclusion are like the first thing on my walk piece, and so I better get this part right. But one of the things that I really think is important is that I do think that one of the problems with transparency and inclusion and communication is that it needs to be interactive. And, I agree that people should go to board meetings, yet board meetings aren't really great for interaction. Like some dude named Robert who made up all these rules of order sort of ruined that. Like, they're very, they're very structured. And so there's not a lot of opportunity because of the way that the business needs to be conducted for interaction. So I would like us to have an opportunity to have a secondary meeting, which is really just like interactive sessions. And I'd like these to be before decisions are made. So when there's going to be a decision that has to be made, invite everybody, come on in, have an actual conversation, let everybody give their input and their ideas. Now you're not always going to like the votes, sometimes it's going to be not the way you want it to go. But I hope that as a board member, I can make sure that people know that I listened to them and that I heard them and that I really heard their concerns, even if I disagree. So thank you.
All right. Lastly, we have Mr. Wing Kim Ho from District 1, again, to reiterate, to facilitate and improve the board's communication with students and transparency and accountability.
Sure. So, as a board member and active parent, you will know at AUSD, we have many ways to communicate with our community, such as our board meeting, our community workshop. We have ELAC, LCAP, community conversation meeting, farmers market, and combined, we have interacted with hundreds and hundreds of people across the district. This meeting are in addition to all the site meetings that take place on a regular basis. Now, also, we have a very strong relationship with our city government, Alhambra and Monterey Park, and we have a lot of community partners with them to help relay the messages out to our community. As far as accountability, the independency of the school board member is very important because we represent our parents, we represent our students. We're all working for them. We are not working for any special interest. So we'll make sure that this is a cohesive, responsible school board that represents nothing but for our public education and for our children. Thank you.
Great. So now, oh, just on time, I'm going to pass it on to Jay Wang for the next questions.
All right, so this is going to be the second question. We're going to start off with Ms. Marcia Wilson from District 1. So the question is, what are your plans for transitioning into a traditional/hybrid classroom setting once the COVID-19 pandemic is over? Would you support families that wish to continue with distance learning? And this was a common question among parents in our school community. So you have 1 minute.
Okay, yeah, this is a tough one for 1 minute. So we all know that there's been a lot of information, a lot of fear, a lot of misinformation, a lot of withheld information. So I can understand why parents might be a little concerned about their kids going back into the classroom. And if there was the order for it to come back, I think that it would be great if parents could have that choice. I know that the district spent a lot of time gathering information about what the parents' choice was before the Department of Health kind of put down their mandate. So I would support a similar process where we ask parents. But bottom line is, there's so many free online public education high schools out there. There's California Virtual Academy, there's Choice 2000, there's Insight, there's a bunch of other public and free education that people can do at home. So I think that if we don't offer that option, then we may lose some more enrollment. So I think that we do need to have that option. I would like that decision to be something where parents and teachers and students all had an opportunity to share their input in it and to make a shared decision and one that works for everyone.
Thank you. Next up is Wing Kim Ho from District 1. So once again, the question is, what are your plans for transitioning into a traditional/hybrid classroom setting once the pandemic is over? And would you support families that wish to continue distance learning? You have 1 minute.
Sure. So at this point, our school is closed, but education never stopped. When the state allowed us to open the school from the public health department's direction, yes, we will partially open the school, but yet, as far as I know, I support the idea of parents still able to choose to stay at home, do distance learning, while others who cannot have their kids to stay at home, we will do our best, and we are doing our best to keep our school safety, look at all the safety protocol, and make sure that all staff, students working in school, they are safe. And lastly, there's a lot of additional support improvement that we have to do. And there's no perfect solution for distance learning, and we know that, and we admit that, yes, there's room to improve, and we are going to improve it. So with everyone's help, parents, teachers, and our students, I'm sure we will get over this pandemic, and then we will bring back our normal life. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Jane C. Anderson from District 2. Once again, the question is, what are your plans for transitioning into a traditional/hybrid classroom setting once the pandemic is over? And would you support families that wish to continue with distance learning? You have 1 minute.
Yes. Switching to hybrid is going to be very interesting. Of course, we do not know when it will occur because we don't know what the State Department and the county are going to permit us to do. I know that some teachers don't want to go to hybrid because they feel like they'll be delivering two types of lessons. So that needs to be worked out. And yes, I will support parents who want to remain in distant learning. They have the right to keep their child at home. And sometimes I think, well, I don't know, I think maybe I'd want to keep my child at home too. It's just a very unknown territory we're going into, and we're trying to do the best that we can to fit everybody's needs. But that isn't always possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Ken Tang from District 2. So once again, the question is, what are your plans for transitioning into the traditional classroom setting once the pandemic is over? And would you support families that wish to continue with distance learning? You have 1 minute.
In short, yes, I definitely support families who wishes to have continued distant learning. As far as what the plan is, definitely have to get into a dialogue with groups that are interested in having continue with distance learning and groups of stakeholders who are willing to come back in a hybrid manner. However, we need to look at all of the safety features with providing all of the PPE, that making sure that everyone has access to that. And at the same time, those who are continuing with distance learning, that they have all the access they need with regards to technology, and making sure that the budget shows that. Because you can talk about everything, you can talk about all of these plans, but unless you put it in the budget, it doesn't happen.
Thank you. And lastly, for this question, we have Kesa Moreno from District 3. Once again, the question is, what are your plans for transitioning into a traditional/hybrid classroom once the pandemic is over? And would you support families that wish to continue with distance learning? You have 1 minute.
Thank you. A minute goes really quickly. The very first thing is, I think, is to ensure that we're following the guidelines mandated by the county and the health experts in the state. So this, again, may include wearing masks, social distancing, but basically ensuring the safety of our students, our teachers, and our parents, and our community. And one thing that I want to kind of, say out loud, and as a parent, speaking as a parent, is that it's not just about being safe, and it's about feeling safe. So we have to ensure that the safety of our students and teachers, right, is not just something that we have in place, but we actually show them where they actually feel safe. I don't think you can learn in a place where you don't feel safe. So yes, I would support families wanting to stay at home. I think there's a need to feel safe and to be able to learn. As we move forward, what is the plan? I think we don't know the plan, but to make this plan happen, we need to include the voices of our parents, our teachers, our students, and the community to move forward. Thank you.
Thank you. And that was it for question 2. We will be moving on to question 3. And from now on, candidates, the question will be in the chat, so you can refer there if you want to know the question again. So we will start off with Jane C. Anderson from District 2. The question is, given that Governor Newsom vetoed Assembly Bill 331, which would have mandated ethnic studies as a high school graduation requirement, do you support such a requirement, and what would you do to establish ethnic studies as part of our curriculum? You have 1 minute.
The governor vetoed the program because there were some things in it that needed to be cleaned up. And you don't just develop a curriculum overnight. You have the state education that develops it, but that doesn't mean that we can't start our own ethnic studies. We can start it, and we can start as soon as kindergarten, but we need to be cognizant of the fact that the governor wanted the bill cleaned up. He did not like what was in it, and I hope that it will get, move along the way. I don't think he will totally veto it ever. I think he believes in it. He just wants to see a cleaner package. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Mr. Ken Tang from District 2. You have 1 minute.
As an educator, I most definitely support ethnic studies. Not only support it, but making sure that it is funded. Again, going back to the budget, if you don't put money in the budget, it will never get done. First, I make sure that it gets the district provides the proper training for our staff to make sure that they teach the proper ethnic studies. Also, we need to make sure that these classes are supported with resources, with training, with adequate funding from every source. Otherwise, again, if you don't have the funding, things will never roll. As far as ethnic study is concerned, the way we would want to roll it out would be starting at the high school level and then rolling it into the middle grades and eventually moving it down further into the elementary age. And so that's how I would support ethnic study. That's how I would roll out the program, and that's how it should be done. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Kesa Moreno from District 3. I will repeat the question one more time just for our candidates and our attendees. So the question was, Given that Governor Newsom vetoed Assembly Bill 331, which would have mandated ethnic studies as a high school graduation requirement, do you support such a requirement, and what would you do to establish ethnic studies as part of our curriculum? You have 1 minute.
Yes. Oh, thank you. Yes, I support having ethnic studies as a requirement for graduation. I will kind of jump in and piggyback on what Mr. Tang just kind of said already, but is basically making sure that we have the funding and the proper training to make this happen. I think for right now, it's to be just a class that we can check off for our seniors. But I like to see that just happen, and starting maybe in the elementary level and then move forward to the high school levels. So I think the plan that Mr. Tang was talking about, maybe starting in the high schools and then slowly moving into the lower grades would be a great idea. But what I'd like to see is making sure that ethnic studies is not just a box you're checking off. It is actually a meaningful class that you take in your senior year, and that the only way that's going to happen is with seeing it throughout the curriculum in your school years. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Marcia Wilson from District 1. You have 1 minute.
Thank you. So I do know that Jose Medina, the sponsor of the bill, does not plan to stop. And I think that Governor Newsom is probably going to go ahead and sign it next year, because I think that the reason he didn't sign it, like was said earlier, was because they did not make all the corrections that they had asked for before to be a little bit more inclusive beyond the 4 groups. So I think that it's going to be inevitable and it is going to be a graduation requirement. So I think it'd be great for us to go ahead and jump onto that and get kind of ahead of the curve and begin to figure out where are we going to put it. And I think that it would be great if we got students, teachers, parents, educators from all levels into a room and figured out if we're going to have ethnic studies as a graduation requirement, then are we going to take a course away? Are we going to add a course? Are we going to, how are we going to roll that out? And so I think that that needs to be an inclusive conversation, and we really look at it, because adding a graduation requirement is not something that's minor. I think that we need to look at it and consider it and support the content and the concept, but make sure we're doing it right.
Thank you. And lastly, we have Wing Kim Ho from District 1. You have 1 minute.
Okay, thank you. Well, even though we cannot control what our state government do, but as a school board member, we have a control of what we want to do for our school district. And the same concept applied to our school board. To me, as a current school board member, and with Ms. Jane Anderson, we strongly support the ethnic study, especially not too long ago, the board had passed a resolution to support ethnic study in our school for variety and mixture of ethnic, racial backgrounds in high school. Also, don't forget, the school board strongly supports the establishment of the Dream Center at Alhambra High School. And those is just a little step that we want to show how much care we have for our population here. And ethnic study is one of the main topics that, yes, right now is not officially in the curriculum or still working on it, but we strongly support and we set the vision. The board, we set the vision to make sure that that will not disappear in our school district. Thank you.
Thank you. We will be moving on to question 4. We're going to start with Kesa Moreno from District 3. The question is, according to the US Census, almost 75% of the families in Alhambra speak a language other than English at home. In addition, over 50% of Alhambra residents are foreign-born. In what ways will the school district meet the specific needs of these populations, as well as those of recent immigrants, particularly undocumented youth, in the upcoming years?
Thank you. I think we all know, and as you just explained, our immigrant community here in Alhambra is large and diverse, and we definitely see this in our schools here in Alhambra. The model that I like to kind of point out and that we currently already have is the Dream Center in Alhambra High School. I think that's a great model that should be expanded to the other high schools and then at some point to the elementary schools as well. I think it's important to have a physical space where our immigrant students can feel safe and supported. I think that's what it comes down to. I think as immigrants, you tend to hide sometimes, and it's really hard to ask for help. And if you can't have the support and you don't feel safe, it's going to be very hard and difficult for you to do well in your classes. So something like the Dream Center, where you're getting a constant support by your peers and your teachers is definitely something that we can expand throughout the whole district. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Marcia Wilson from District 1. You have 1 minute.
Great. Well, hearing the stories of Kesa and also of Ken, and their Kesa's parents and Ken being an immigrant, I really empathize. Even though that's not my experience, I really empathize with it. I was given the opportunity, because I'm the Dean of Equity at my college, I was given the opportunity to work with LAUSD. LAUSD got sued for diversity issues, and they had to put all of their money that was for the lawsuit into a program. And so I had the opportunity to sit on a panel of discussing how they were going to have to use that money. And we did evidence-based approach. And one of the things that we looked at is the effectiveness of welcome centers that are located at high schools with high numbers of immigrant students. And a welcome center is similar to what we have with the Dream Center. It is a physical space. It's focused on both parents and students. And it's an opportunity to provide mentorship and advocacy and making sure that people feel welcome, because that's really what it's about, is making people feel comfortable in the space, because when you feel more comfortable, you're more successful academically. So I think if we could look at a model like that, that would be great.
Thank you. Next up, we have Wing Kim Ho. So I'm going to repeat the question one more time. So according to the US Census, almost 75% of the families in Alhambra speak a language other than English at home. In addition, over 50% of Alhambra residents are foreign-born. In what ways will the school district meet the specific needs of these populations, as well as those of recent immigrants, particularly undocumented youth, in the upcoming years? You have 1 minute.
Okay. As a foreign-born first-generation immigrant, I am one of those. So definitely, I am living in it. When I first come to the United States for college, I have experienced what everyone experiences now. So I will definitely bring my experience into the school board, which is what I have been doing, using my language advantage, speaking Chinese, English, to really help to bridge the gap. Sometimes it's all about cultural differences and misunderstanding, and I'm coming in with that role to help everyone to understand. And speaking of the Dream Center, we value the importance of the Dream Center. So not just that Alhambra High School will have a Dream Center, but also there's plan expanding to San Gabriel High School. And the board is really support on doing that, because that's really a safe place for our students. When they need help, they know where to go. School is always the safe place for our students. And this is what we cultivate, what we've been doing, and what we'll continue to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on, we have Ken Tang from District 2. You have 1 minute.
First of all, the Dream Center is a grant that was provided and granted by the National Education Association, which I am a board member of. First of all, in order to support an immigrant, you need to understand what their needs are. And as an immigrant, I know firsthand the struggles that students face. In order for us to really help the students, we need to hire teachers with the right credentials. We need to bring back instructional aids with different languages. And more importantly, we need to provide a language resource center, a place where students can come to get help in their own language, a place where there are resources from different languages. Doesn't matter what country they're from, you have these technology that translates all languages. And so these are something that we can do to provide the extra help that our students need, as well as expanding our dual language program.
Thank you. Thank you. So lastly, we have Jane C. Anderson of District 2. You have 1 minute.
Thank you. I want to build on what Ms. Moreno said. We've had a very good success with the Dream Center at Alhambra High. And we just had a presentation on the new academy that has been formed at San Gabriel High School. I can't remember the name exactly, but it's for the ELD students who are Asian. And I think that's great. And because of the success that they've had at San Gabriel, Mark Keppel is also going to form an academy. So I am very happy to see that this is catching on, and I hope that Alhambra will also try to have an academy like this for their Asian students. I started teaching, when I was teaching in the 70s, I had children who came with, no language. And somehow, we we communicated, we could all do math, and slowly but surely, you know, they learned the language. But we have to give that extra support to our English language learners right from day one when they arrive.
Thank you. So that was it for question 4. I'm gonna move it to Ellie Liang for the next questions.
All right, hello. We're gonna move on to question 5. So question 5 is, given declining enrollment and COVID-19, how will you address AUSD's financial deficiencies? First up, we have Wing Kim Ho from District 1.
All right, thank you. Well, first of all, we have to understand we are running a public entity. We are a school board. It's not a private company. We don't sell stock. We relied on state funding. So what closely watch our financial keep it balanced is the #1 priority. Also, we have to set priority on all the goals. We can want everything to provide to our students, but yet we have to look at in detail how to do it, what to do. Not all funding can be used on all programs. We have great idea. That's the vision we set. And we rely on our staff, our administration. They've combined with hundreds years of teaching experience to know how we can make it work. It's a teamwork. With the union, it's a teamwork. We all work together. We look after each other and provide the best and absolutely the best offer that we can get to our students. That's the main goal. At least that's my main goal. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next, the same question for Marcia Wilson from District 1.
Hi, yeah, I was dreading this question. I knew that it would probably be asked, but answering a question about the budget in 1 minute is very difficult. So one of the things that I have been called upon to do is I work with a group called Slate Z. It's a South LA Promise Zone, and I'm chairing a committee now. It's called Education Budget Crisis Subcommittee, Responses and Solutions for COVID-19 and Beyond. And basically what it is, I'm pulling together a group of educational administrators from LAUSD and LATTC as well. And we meet bi-weekly to explore strategies to come up with ways to fund public education all the way from K through 14. And we need to look at beyond just the typical ways that schools are funded, because based on enrollment, we're just not going to make it if those are the only thing we're looking at. So we need to look at more creative ways to get funding for our schools. That we can't wait for federal bailouts. We have to wait and figure out more ways to do maybe private partnerships, private-public partnerships, get grants, do all kinds of innovative things to really think about funding our school programs, because we're not going to just be able to do it with those public dollars, and we need to think innovatively. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to repeat the question again for the other candidates. Given declining enrollment and COVID-19, how will you address AUSD's financial deficiencies? Next up is Jane C. Anderson from District 2.
Well, as a former ATA president, I know how difficult the budget can be. And now as a board member, the budget is not easy. We are dealing with a deficit. 87% of our budget goes to personnel. And then we have our LCAP plan, which is our learning plan, and we have to justify our sources and justify everything that we put in that plan. And, it all comes from the same pot, and sometimes it just doesn't roll out, but we have to decide what's most important. Personnel, kids are our priority, along with safety. And COVID put us in a bind, but we'll get out of it. We'll get out of it.
All right, thank you. Next is Ken Tang from District 2.
But first and foremost, we have a very urgent task of passing Prop 15. If we are short of money, this is where we can get $11 billion. Get out there and vote yes on Prop 15. Why are we not doing that? Second, we need to make sure that Alhambra has affordable housing. Why are we having declining enrollment? Because people are moving away. They can't afford to live in Alhambra. Well, we need to make sure that our families are able to afford to live in Alhambra. And affordable housing is key to building that enrollment and increasing our enrollment. Furthermore, we need to continue to build upon our program, extend and build upon our dual language program. That's what keeps our students staying where they're at. Affordable housing, that's what's keeping our students staying where they're at. Prop 15, that is what's going to get us extra money in this COVID time. We need to think outside the box, partner with community and
La
get.
caja, asociarnos con la comunidad y conseguir dinero cuando lo necesitamos.
Next is Kesa Moreno from District 3.
Thank you.
Kesa Moreno. 我觉得跟 Dr. Wilson 是
I think you know, trying to answer the budget problem question, right? This is what we're talking
Cũng
about.
như là theo hình để cô Wilson cô đã nhấn mạnh tới và trước hết là phải để coi cái ngân khoản hiện giờ cái ngân khoản như thế nào và làm sao để mà duy trì cái ngân khoản đó hoặc là để sang năm.
I think the first thing we have to do is really making sure that we're informed on how our current programs are working. We need to have an open, transparent dialogue to evaluate our current programs and look at how effective they are. But the bottom line is that this conversation must include all of us. It should include all stakeholders, parents, teachers, students, and district personnel, because it is them, right? It is the stakeholders who tell us where we should be and how we should be allocating all our resources and money. Thank you.
All right, thank you. That was it for question 5. We're going to be moving on to question 6. Question 6 is, what are your priorities regarding safety, staffing, programs, and facilities? What are your plans to make the most of funding in these areas? So first up is Kesa Moreno from District 3.
Thank you. Okay. I see this question. It sounds like very similar to the budget question and how do we allocate our money and in our district. I think the important part in here is making sure that we're always including our stakeholders in these conversations, making sure that they're in that in part of that meeting or committee, whatever it is. So making sure that we have our parents and students and teachers when we are talking about how to allocate all these resources. But if we're talking about safety, I would say that safety, and I think we can all agree on that, would come first. But everything else, again, is having these open conversations, transparent conversations with all the stakeholders. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next up is Ken Tang from District 2.
So the priorities should be safety, staffing, programs, and facility. These are all very important issues that we must face in terms of the budget. And I totally agree with Kesa that we need to make sure that we involve all stakeholders. The LCAP is first and foremost. Not too many people are aware of the LCAP and how to be involved with that. And we need to make sure that students are involved with that. We need to make sure that parents are involved with that and community members are involved with that. We need to have open it up so that more teachers and staff be involved in that process. And these are our brightest. And so when you put more brains together, these are the people that are going to help us think of ways to make sure that these priorities are met. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to repeat the question one more time. What are your priorities regarding safety, staffing, programs, and facilities? What are your plans to make the most of funding in these areas? So next up is Jane C. Anderson from District 2.
Yes, first of all, I'd like to thank everybody who voted for the bonds in 2018. It provided us with $254 million for schools, technology, and safety. Some of the improvements we're making now do not show. We're doing air conditioners, roofs, and drinking fountains. And we're doing drinking fountains where the children can refill their drinking fountain at school. And we're also monitoring the new things for lights that'll monitor whether lights go on or off. We're investigating solar, and we also are manning all new clocks. And these are the things that people don't see, but they tremendously add to the safety of our children so that everybody is on the same boat, you know, as when they get back to school, when they do. So these are the things that are going on right now. We're having more modernization for our buildings right now, and Margarita will be starting soon.
Thank you. Next is Marcia Wilson from District 1.
Great, thank you. So safety is related to sort of all of these. I think when I think about safety, I think about safety not only in terms of COVID-19, of course, that's the one that's most present, but also safety from violence, safety from bullying, safety from, you know, feeling like they're supported in terms of their mental health. I think that we need to pay attention to those aspects of safety too. But safety is also related to facilities. And I was really glad to hear when Ms. Anderson said that, you know, that some of the infrastructure stuff was going on, because in terms of transparency, it's difficult to know exactly where those bond dollars are yet. It's great to know that they're going to things like safe drinking water, the boiler room. I know at Alhambra High, that boiler room was like, oof, crazy. And so I just wanted to make sure that students can breathe safe air, that they can drink from the water fountains, that they're not tripping over, you know, broken stuff, and that we are paying attention to their safety. We also have to pay attention to our instructional programs, our extracurricular programs, and our after school programs and our arts programs as well.
Thank you. And then lastly, we have Wing Kim Ho from District 1.
Sure, definitely safety and facilities is the number one at this point, particularly the COVID. Without safety, we cannot even guarantee to open the school. And besides of that, school district has been doing a lot of good work over the years before my time, or even during my time. We have to bring the information out to all the parents. If you're an active parent, you know where to find the information. If you're an active parent, you care about your school, you know who to ask. We never hide any information. Every information is public, only if you don't care. Besides of that, program is equally important as safety, and we're working on a lot of different programs, distance learning program, even emotional support program. We have Gateway to Success, we have others, webinars, and we're all thinking concurrently because we cannot just focus on one thing. Everything goes together, they're equally important. But to the question, safety is number one. Even though we have a budget deficit, but we put priority on all the PPE and all the safety feature. Make sure that everyone's safe.
Thanks.
You.
That was it for question 6. We're going to be moving on to question 7. And question 7 is, how will you promote and expand access to internships, careers, and job opportunities for students? First up is Marcia Wilson from District 1.
Great, well, this one I should be able to answer pretty quickly since this is what I do for a living. So as you know, at my deanship, I am the workforce development dean. So I work on doing partnerships in career education. And I always tell people that all education is career education, because you don't go to school unless you want to have a career, whether that is a career with your hands or a career with your mind, but all education is career education. And so I really think that we need to look at making sure that we have partnerships. I would make sure that there are 3 key partners involved. I think we need to make sure that we have community colleges involved, 4-year colleges involved, but also business and industry involved, including our unions, but particularly our businesses. You know, there's a lot of opportunities for our businesses in Alhambra to provide internship opportunities and career and job opportunities for our students. And, you know, I was really proud of the work that I did with Mr. Walsh years ago in bringing the green construction program to Alhambra High as one of the CTE programs. And, you know, it still continues today. And I think that some of our schools have some great ones. So let's keep them up.
Thank you. Next is Wing Kim Ho from District 1.
Okay. CTE program. We're very fortunate that Alhambra Unified has been invested time and attention to our CTE program. We built one of the good or best CTE program around the neighbor. It's been recognized award-winning. And yet, as a professional myself, educated in US, I know how important of those internship work. And I am bringing my expertise, talking with our facilities, talking with our CTE director, on see how I can share my experience, how I can bring other professional experience all together, help our students to reach out an internship, tell them what is this about, tell them not just only from a textbook, but from personal experience. We'll give them an example. We'll outreach, we'll work with the chamber, we'll build a lot of connection, we'll work with the city. We welcome all partnership, and all is building a program to support our CDE. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to repeat the question one more time. How would you promote and expand access to internships, careers, and job opportunities for students? Next is Jane C. Anderson from District 2.
Thank you. We're very fortunate to have wonderful academies that we have had established in the years past. We have a Green Ant Academy, a medical academy, a culinary academy. We have the new ELD Academy, and our star is the Auto Tech Academy. And the Auto Tech sends young men and women. The women won a lot of awards last year. And at their dinner, they receive their tools. They go out, they work for Dennis Karachek. They go take part-time classes at PCC. And we also partner with ELAC and with Rio Hondo College. And they are getting out and getting job training, and they will leave when they're 18 and have a job. You know, not everybody's going to go to college. And our CTE programs have really helped those who didn't want to go to college or you know, couldn't. And they've been a wonderful, wonderful success.
Thank you. Next is Ken Tang from District 2.
I was one of the fortunate ones who been in the ROP program, and I'd love to bring that back. It teaches students in industries, starting up with community businesses for internship, working with trade unions for apprenticeship program. These are some of the ideas that I would establish, making sure that our students are looking into what their future is. Not only this, but also having resource centers, like I talked about before, where they can actually look at interviews, building resumes, which helps with internship, which help with jobs, with job opportunities. And so these are life skills that needs to be taught. And so we need to provide those resources in these programs. So bring back the RP program, adding to partnership with community businesses and building part of the relationship. And that's what's gonna help keep and make our students learn and be contributing members of society.
Thank you. And then lastly, we have Kesa Moreno from District 3.
Thank you. I think I'm just kind of repeat a lot of the stuff that's already been said by the other candidates, but what I do see is that this is a very important question, especially for a lot of our students right now, considering the economic uncertainty that, you know, this pandemic has brought up. I believe students have to be both college and career ready now. I think before maybe there was a pathway where some students went to college, others went to, you know, and decided to do something different. I think there's a possibility to do both. It is one of the reasons that I support having internships and apprenticeships that are directly tied to local businesses and organizations. Like Dr. Wilson was saying, I think it's important to connect not just with the businesses, but also with the community colleges and universities, where we can bring programs that can provide skills and job training for all of our students, where it's meaningful and they can give back to our community.
Thank you. That was it for question 7, and now I'm going to pass this on to Mark.
Thank you very much, Ellie. So for question 8, it will be, how would you address a persistent lack of access to technology and or broadband for our neediest families? How are we meeting students' social, emotional, and mental health needs at a distance? First off, we will have Jane C. Anderson of District 2. You have 1 minute.
That's really 2 questions in one. We have provided hotspots, more than 450 hotspots to our children who did not have access. We bought 600, but we haven't had to place all them. We have, if any child is having trouble with technology, they have been encouraged to get in touch with the teacher and or the principal, and someone from technology is there to get them connected. So we have tried very hard to get everyone connected. And what's the other part of it? What was the other part of the question?
The other part of the question.
I can't see it.
mental health?
Yes.
Oh,
Social, emotional, mental health.
mental health, we have counselors in every school. We have referrals, and there's a lot of help available, and they just need to make sure that someone gets to a child who's having a problem so that they can get help. We had a wonderful, wonderful parent conversation last night on helping your child. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And next up, we will have Ken Tang of District 2.
Well, with regards to technology, hotspots are not really working, not for many of our families. We need to do better, make sure we get internet in their house. We need to make sure that we provide those, not just hotspot, but technology modems that they need to make sure these things are running. With regards to mental health, we are not doing enough. Students are struggling mentally. Not only, it doesn't matter what age level, they are struggling mentally with this COVID. And we need to do better. We need to provide more. We need to increase our funding in the mental health department. We need to make sure that we hire more counselors, that we need to hire more mental health professionals, not just counselor, because counselor can only just listen. They can't provide the help. They can't prescribe the help. So we need mental health professionals to be there to help our students. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And next up, we will have Keisha Moreno of District 3.
Thank you. I think what I see first in this question is clearly identifying the families that are having trouble connecting. So I think it's important to reach out and have a conversation to figure out exactly what their needs are. I think at minimum, the other two candidates already kind of said this, but at minimum, our students and families with no internet access and devices should be provided with, at minimum, a hotspot and a device. I think the mental and emotional needs and how do we address this from a distance? I think it's important to keep programs like Gateway to Success going. I know that this program is still happening virtually. So expanding this program, especially with all of this pandemic that's happening currently, I think it's important to keep this program going and have our counselors reach out to our parents, I mean, not our parents, sorry, our students, and continue the work they do. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And next up, we will have Marcia Wilson of District 1.
Great. So in terms of the hotspot world, the digital divide, I've been studying this for like 25 years. Back when they were doing dial-up, there was this digital divide conversation. But one of the things I think we should explore is perhaps partnering with the city to look at municipal broadband for all. There are some cities that, particularly smaller cities, have been able to do this, where partnering with the school district and the city and with some companies, they were able to really look at providing internet for everybody in a city. And so maybe exploring some cities that were able to do that, finding out what it costs, how they did it, how they sustain it. At least it's worth exploring. In terms of mental health, I hear this all the time from students at my job. I oversee the mental health intern program at my job, and just this last 2 weeks, I got 130 emails, requests for assistance, and I heard it in our Friday forums and our Coffee with the Candidates events that we had from Alhambra High students and from others, that they're suffering. And so we need to make sure we're paying attention to that.
Thank you very much. Last up, we have Wing Kim Ho of District 1.
Yes, thank you. In the last 6 months, the district has distributed over 6,679 laptops and over 600 hotspots, if not more. Knowing that in case where transportation was an issue, district staff also deliver all the equipment to their home for the student. In this writing, everyone who has requested a laptop and hotspot has received one. We continue to fulfill requests as they received. Additionally, we set up tech hotline to help family students that they have problem connecting to the school. Because one thing, we just want to make sure that all students access to the learning that they need. We reach out to them, we know who they are. As far as mental health, emotional support, last night we just have a webinar for the parent talk about exactly this topic. You should have been there already. Also for school counselor, we have each elementary school, we have counselor. We have nine schools have full-time gateway counselor and 4 schools have part-time intervention advisor. And at the school site, we have also gateway counselor, school counselor. And in addition, we have Gateway to Success program, which is a really successful program out there. And lastly, we have school psychologists.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
And now I'll hand this back off to Maria.
All right, so we're on question 9. Alhambra Unified has 13 K through 12, K through 8 schools and no middle schools. What will you do to add opportunities for our middle schoolers and to give them equal footing with other districts that have true middle schools? So to start off, I would like to call on Kesa Moreno.
Thank you. I actually, when I remember I attended my first LCAT meeting, this is one of the questions that came up for me, the middle school question. So for me, I would think that to have our students in the elementary level successfully go and succeed at the high school level, we would need a comprehensive transitional program to do this. I think we can consider classes for the 8th grade and 7th and 8th graders. Maybe they can start taking classes at the high school level and I know there was something of like that was happening in the past, but I think it's important to have some sort of transition for our students who are in the elementary level to go into the high school levels. I think it's also important to think about what can we do in terms of training for our teachers, right? Develop maybe some training and create incentives for the teachers to teach the specialized subjects such as math and the sciences in the elementary levels for these 7th and 8th grader students so they can get better prepared, right, when they go into high school. And then I think lastly, I think we should definitely explore the possibility of creating a middle school and what that would look like and what exactly, in terms of funding, what exactly that is. Thank you.
So next up, Marcia Wilson.
Great. So, well, I'm a big data person. And so the first thing I would want to look at would be the data. So when you read the question and then I went into the little chat and reread it, it really talked about giving our middle schoolers equal footing with other districts. And so I'm not sure that they don't. So the first thing that I would want to do is to examine the data, to look at the data to make sure that our 8th grade students going into 9th grade, where are they deficient in terms of other middle school students who do have official middle schools, and then attack the problem from that way. Find out where those deficits are. Is it social? Is it developmental? Is it something where, or is it math? Is it a particular thing? One of the challenges I know that I noticed when both of my kids were in the 8th grade is that the math teachers are not credentialed math teachers. They were both pretty good, but they don't have a math credential. And so they were teaching with a elementary school multiple subject credential, but they were teaching high school math because my kids were taking Algebra 1. And so I think that, looking at strategies to address that would be really helpful.
Great. Next up is Mr. Wingho.
Okay. To address that problem, first and foremost is really to understand what the district need, what's the demand from our constituents, what's the demand from our parent and student. Understand what kind of program that they're looking for. Is that something physically, financially, feasibly workable? And then work from there. Right now, I don't have a solution because I don't have those data in front of me. But if that's a demand out there, we will know and we'll reach out, we'll collect them, we'll look into it, and it will build it in our program. If there's something already done, we will look at how to improve. Is something that we cannot be done? We'll explain first and then look at option, find area that where we can improve. If we cannot create all the way to the end point, we will improve step by step. For sure, we are looking after our student and we're looking after our parents' interests. We want them to know how we think so that we can communicate well. Thank you.
Thank you. So just to reiterate, what we do to add opportunities to our middle schoolers in our elementary schools to give them equal footing with other districts. Following up, we have Kentang.
All right, so to add for our middle school students, I have an opportunity to went to INES, which is K-8, and having the opportunity to also witness middle school at the Garvey School District as a staff. I see firsthand this positive in that we really need to add a middle school schedule where classes are being taught by single subject teachers. So this is where we're actually doing shortchanging our students. Now, not to say that our teachers are not doing well enough job, but single subjects teachers are going to go a little bit more in depth into those single subjects. And in order for us to be able to, we need to look at the comparison. What is it missing? Band, extracurricular activities, drama, all of that. Those are the areas, electives, those are the areas that our students that are in K-8 are missing. And so we need to provide more staffing to provide all of those opportunities for our students. And that's what's going to take to add on to our, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Jane Anderson?
Yes, well, at our 9 elementary schools, 6th grade, but mostly 7th and 8th grade, do team. They team, the math teachers are single subject math teachers. They are accredited. We have gone through and checked to be sure that all of our teachers are accredited in the subject that they are teaching. And they have had whiz-bang scores out of Brightwood and Monterey Highlands because of those excellent teachers. They do team teach so that, and the classes rotate, and they make sure that they get their hands-on science and all of the things that are required of a junior high. They do have PE, however, they do not change for PE. And we do the best we can without the physical buildings to have a junior high. Thank you.
All right, so I think we have time for a rapid fire question on the propositions if we go quickly. So I'll pass it on to Mark to explain that a little more.
Thank you very much. For the rapid fire questions that I will list out to the candidates, we will have you answer either as yes, no, or pass. You will not be allowed to expand on your question. The first question is on Prop 15. Increases funding sources for public schools, community colleges, and local government services by changing tax assessment of commercial and industrial property. First up, we will have Wing Kim Ho of District 1.
Yes.
Then Marcia Wilson, District 1.
Yes.
Jane C. Anderson, District
Yes.
2. Ken Tang, District 2.
Enthusiastically, yes.
Kesa Moreno, District 3.
Yes.
Excellent. Next up, we have Prop 16, allows diversity as a factor in public employment, education, and contracting decisions, legislative constitutional amendment. First up, we will have Wing Kim Ho, District 1.
No.
Marcia Wilson, District 1.
Yes. Wish we didn't need it, but yes.
Jane C. Anderson, District 2.
No.
Ken Tang, District 2.
Yes.
Kesa Moreno, District 3.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Last up here, we have Prop 18, amends California Constitution to permit 17-year-olds to vote in primary and special elections if they will turn 18 by the next general election and be otherwise eligible to vote. Legislative constitutional amendment. Wing Kim Ho, District 1.
Yes.
Marcia Wilson, District 1.
Yes.
Jane C. Anderson, District 2.
Yes.
Ken Tang, District 2.
Yes.
And Kesa Moreno, District 3.
Yes.
That concludes our rapid fire questions. I will hand this back off to Maria. Thank you very much.
All right, so the question segment of this forum is done. And now we're moving on to our closing statements. I think we can go with 2 minutes. Dominic, do you think we can go with 2? Did he say yes? Yes, okay, 2 minutes, all right. So keep track of that, Mark. So to close, for the closing statements, I would like to call on to Casey Moreno.
All right. I want to thank everybody for taking the time out of your day to be here and be involved and learn about the candidates that are running to serve you. We can't deny that these are uncertain times, and education, schools, and learning will look very different going forward. And together we can shape what this will look like. During our last LCAT meeting, one of our district leaders said something that really stuck with me. She said, "We are building schools for the 21st century from the ground up. You are starting with us from the ground." And I couldn't agree with that more. And as we start on the ground floor together, we need education experts who have expertise in the classroom and with technology as we go forward together. What this pandemic has also brought to light is the vital role our schools play in our community. They serve as a place of belonging, socially, emotionally, physically, and academically. With my expertise in education and focus on transparency, as a school board member, my goal is to ensure that our schools are not only create high-achieving students, but that they provide the space where students, parents, and teachers can come together and know that they belong. Thank you.
All right, and I apologize I didn't mention this earlier. Can you please also tell us of a website, an email, or some way that people can contact you after this forum?
Sure. I have a website. I can put it in the chat. I don't know if everyone's going to see that. And then I also have a social media accounts. I have a Facebook account. No. And so I have a Facebook account, Professor Moreno for Alhambra School Board, and also an Instagram.
Say your website out loud.
www.professormoreno4schoolboard.com.
All right. So yeah, the same thing for the following closing statements. I apologize. Just please mention your website or some way to contact you after this forum. The next closing statement will be from Ken Tang, District 2.
Let's get the website out of the way. Just put it on the the chat, www.votekentang.org. You've heard of the saying, insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. Friends, it is time to change that. It is time to stop doing the same thing over and over. We see, especially in these challenging times, that who we elect to a leadership position matters. Who serves on our school board matters. We can do better, and we must do better. As an educator, I know what it takes to make our school board work for our kids, our teachers, our staff, and our community. It's time to stop doing the same thing over and over. It's time to make our school better than ever with innovation and fresh, new, current ideas. I am a candidate. I am the only candidate in this race who has the endorsement of my former students and my current students. I am endorsed by the beloved teachers, the Alhambra Teachers Association, and the amazing classified staff, the California Schools Employees Association Local 295, the Alhambra Democratic Club, the LA County Democratic Party, the LA County Federation of Labor, the Indo-Chinese Association PAC, the Chinese American Citizens Alliance, Supervisor Hilda Solis, Alhambra Councilwoman Adele Andrade Stradler, Alhambra Councilwoman Catherine Lee, Monterey Park City Council Henry Lowe, and so many other local leaders. Join them before or on November 3rd. Please vote Ken Tang for Alhambra School Board District 2. And as they say, everything is better with Tang. Thank you.
Great. Next up, Jane Anderson.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you students for doing a wonderful job tonight. I wish that I had been this interested in civics and this type of community involvement when I was in high school, but you know, that was a long, long time ago. I think my successful experience on the school board speaks for itself. I'm a dedicated educator. I have new ideas. I like hearing the new ideas, but unfortunately, some of them costs money, which is a budget consideration. Kesa took my speech right out of my mouth because I was going to say, at this time, we are building a new education, just like we heard at the last meeting. We have a terrific job ahead of us. We are keeping our students safe and our staff. And, you know, we have not had any layoffs. So that is one thing. Even when we had the downturn back a couple of years ago, we never laid anybody off. We have always found a way to keep our programs and take the money from something that will be the furthest away from the students. And the Alhambra board will continue to do that. We are dedicated service people. I'm not doing this for any glory other than that. I love to serve the students of our district. My life has been dedicated to it, and I hope to continue doing it. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have closing statement from District 1, Marcia Wilson.
Thank you. So I usually don't prepare closing statements because I like to just kind of go with how I feel after, you know, any event or activity. And I just want to say thank you so much. It makes me so proud to see students. You were so professional, you were so engaged, and you know, you did a great job. I think that maybe you could go and do the presidential and vice presidential debates, and maybe we'd have a better debate. So I just want to give you guys those props. You know, thank you. I love Alhambra. I love Alhambra. I love Alhambra Unified School District. You know, this is where I chose to live. This is where I chose to raise my sons. I'm very proud of my sons. I'm very proud of the education that they got. I think that it served them well in life so far. Let me knock on some wood over here somewhere. But I really, I love it. And yet, you know, loving something doesn't mean that you can't also see ways that you could enhance and enrich and augment. And that's what I want to do. You know, I feel like there's so many aspects of my life, so many aspects of my volunteerism and things that I've done over the years, different relationships that I formed with teachers, with staff, with administrators, with fellow board members, and also with the community, and also my professional career. I think that all of these things that, you know, the opportunity to get engaged in budgets and the opportunity to look at education and career pathways, all of this comes together to make me, this is the perfect time in my life to do it, and it makes me a really good candidate. And I really do think that I could add a lot to our board. You know, my time on the Alhambra Educational Foundation after I left PTA kept me involved with schools where I really want to be, because that's where my passion is with children and with making sure that the future of our Alhambra continues to shine and shine brightly, and that our schools continue to shine and shine brightly. And I have the experience, the expertise, and the passion to do that. And I really look forward to have that opportunity. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. And lastly, we have Mr. Wing Kim Ho.
So first of all, thank you. Thank you everyone tonight participating in this event and giving us opportunity to address the concern that you have. To be effective on board is not easy. We all know that. Our job is not to micromanage the school district. It's not to tell the teacher what to do. It's work with them on how to do things. We set the vision. We hire the superintendent so that the vision, goals, and policy of the district can be implemented. We have to be neutral. We have to know where we stand. We established a framework for the district's collective bargaining process and adopt responsible agreement. We don't look for interests of other people. We only look for the interests of the school district. And also, as a professional myself, I don't come in as a teacher or educational background, but I do educate in US. I do educate here, and I have my child going to school here. I know how everything's been doing. I've been watching. Time has changed, but the principle of school will never change. For example, one of my unique contributions to AUSD board was when, in the beginning of the year at Alhambra High School, there was a fire. I immediately visited the school with our superintendent and cabinet to access the damage and to report back to the board. Because I know with my expertise, my experience, I can help the board to understand what's the situation and how to get through all those obstacles. We need a diversified board so that we can lead the district not only in one direction, but have to look at all directions. We have to look at everything all together. Through a school fire, a global pandemic, or nearly constant retooling of this distant learning and equality, I've been on the scene at our school, talking to our teachers, students, parents, to learn about what they need through this seismic shift in education and the life in 2020 and acting to meet those needs. I have a deep roots in our community. I have been educated, lived, worked, raised a family here, and been a civic volunteer in the city of Alhambra and in the San Gabriel Valley for the last 2 decades. Thank you.
Great. So for some closing comments, I think it's crazy that we're meeting in the middle of a pandemic virtually, but we are blessed to have these resources available. So we do have the chance to inform not just like this ourselves, but like everyone who attended. So thank you to all the panelists, our moderators, our ASB presidents, all the candidates running for this, all our translators, all the behind the scenes people, Dominic, our social science department for reaching out to us to take over to moderate. This has been a great experience. I hope it has been for all the candidates and the attendees as well. We also want to give a big shout out to our co-sponsors, the Alhambra Source, Alhambra Preservation Group, Alhambra Latino Association, and the Voice of Immigrant Students, Alhambra. And now we are going to have a very well-prepared speech from Mark Munson.
Thank you very much, Maria. I'd like to extend the same thanks to everyone that has participated in this forum. As after all, this is our civic duty to take part in this process, but I certainly do understand the frustration and feelings of boredom and distaste to anything related to voting. For that reason, I'd like to highlight the immense importance of taking part in building a better world for us all. Voting is something that can feel so inconsequential to us all. I feel a good way to put it is comparing a little guppy fish to an ocean full of what feels like almost infinitely many more fish. Yet I see voting as an opportunity, one that is different than many others that we have as individuals, to push society towards a better future. They say the flap of a butterfly's wings is felt on the other side of the world. And that's how I implore each and every one of you who who view this a great opportunity to fight for good. We all certainly do not agree when it comes to how best our communities should be run. But at the end of the day, 2 minds are better than 1. I think that by taking our part in voting, we help contribute to a greater outcome, because even though we may not agree, that diversity of ideas, which has been very excellently demonstrated, I believe, during this forum, is what ultimately leads us to a better outcome. One of the great barriers to the expansion of knowledge is to not be willing to find the useful bits of information amongst a crowd of useless information. If we all can help contribute to expanding the diversity of ideas by supporting and voting for the candidates we truly believe in, our compounding efforts ultimately lead to a brighter, better future, bigger than us all. This is about inching towards change that can have impacts far into the future. So I dearly hope today that you all can go get out there or stay inside and talk to friends, relatives, your neighbors even, about the importance of voting. Thank you very much for your time. It's been a pleasure to help out with this forum.
Yeah, so if you guys refer to the chat, it is mentioned that if you tuned in late or you want to see a recording of this forum, you can go to www.alhambrasource.org. And then below that is a Google form for evaluation of how this was executed. So tell us how we did. We would really appreciate the feedback. And as like a little incentive, there will be a $15 Amazon gift card raffle. So if you guys want $15 for Amazon, you should definitely let us know how we did. And then we are going to, oh yes, a special shout out to the League of Women Voters who created this infographic with all the resources for our attendees. So take out your phone, take a screenshot, or just write down these links. The League of Women Voters website, lwvpa.org, it gives you links to voter registration, vote by mail ballot tracking, electronic sample ballot, voter education events. Then we have the LA County election resources, lavote.net, voter center locations, very important, interactive sample ballots, statewide and local election information. We have the League of Women Voters California, so you get the pros and cons about the state ballot measures to help you decide what you will vote on proposed laws, which is one of the speed rounds that we did. Then we have official California voter guide, the Secretary of State voter guide.sos.ca.gov, statewide measures and contests. Then we have easy voter guides, simple explanations of statewide elections. This is super important to get informed. We have votersedge.org, which is impartial analysis of what's on your ballot. Follow the money. So yeah, as it says at the top, democracy is not a spectator sport. We rely on everyone to play their part, whether you are running for office or you are voting. They're all super crucial to our advancement as a society and just, you know, living in our democracy. So yeah, you can contact the candidates in the chat. They left their websites. If you wrote down their information, that's great. And yeah, so thank you once again for coming, and we'll leave the information up for anyone that needs it.
Just to clarify, the audience can't read the chat, right? It's only the panelists.
Hi, so I am the host. So I've shared certain messages that have been relayed with me in the chat to the attendees. So I got Jane. I have all the candidates' contact information and websites shared in the public chat, and I'm looking at that now. Yeah, good question. Thank you.
Dominic, I'm District 2, not District 1. Can you correct that, please?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, and just to note, we're all still live. So thank you all for joining us. I'm going to start booting people out and leave this resource page up. So thank you all again.